Hey there, welcome to Professor Purl, a YouTube channel about knitting. I'm Nicole and this is episode 30. You can find me as Prof Purl on Instagram and Ravelry if you use it. All of the show notes will be linked below. I have so many fun things to talk about today. Finished object, 2 test knits, stream knitting. I did some spring cleaning with my knitting. So if you're into like the chill knitting update about me, like grab a coffee or a tea and let's hang out. So before I hop into talking about what I've been working on, I'll share what I'm wearing. I am wearing the My Chrysalis shawl designed by Vanya Patricella, and I knit it out of Jing fibers, one skein of singles, which I think this colorway was called Petrichor, which is the smell after it rains, which is very apropos because if you're new to this channel, I am in the Pacific Northwest in Oregon. I'm a math education professor, so that's how the channel gets its name. And yeah, so I love the name and the color. There's all these like really kind of subtle things. And then this was Surrey, and I don't remember the color. I bought this on one of the Rosa yarn crawls in 2020 from a knitting store that's closed now called the Knitting Bee, and I really liked. I never felt the strong desire to knit brioche until I saw this project. I just thought it was so cute, and so this was my first brioche project, and it was so well written that I feel like I learned brioche, like the 2-color brioche, like from this pattern. So anyway, I love wearing it. It's super cozy. So I would knit another one of these. I do have 2 skeins of Surrey in my collection from Explorer Knits that I was intending to make with this, but I am rabbit holing now because all right, let's just hop into my one finished object for this episode. Okay, I have one small finished object since the last time I've recorded, and it is a Sophie scarf, like hot off the press. Like I finished it this morning. So I started knitting my Sophie scarf like as in-class knitting when my students are giving presentations or something. And so the last time I recorded, I was right here. I had a little Valentine's stitch or progress keeper. And yeah, so I've just finished it. I will block this, but since I just finished it this morning, I haven't had a chance to block it yet. I haven't even really tried it on yet. Maybe I will do that. So the Sophie scarf, this is my second Sophie scarf, and I quite like them a lot because I do love wearing like an ascot. So how I wear my first one, and this is why I knit a second one, is I just kind of wear it like this. And it's a little bit drapier, so the first one I have, so it looks cuter than this one's looking when I'm doing it like this. I did it my first one out of 100% alpaca, so very drapey, and so like it knots quite nice like that. Let's see here. Does this go around more than once? Oh yeah, it does. So my other one does not wrap around, kind of like this. Oh, I like this. Very cozy. Yeah, so I would wear it like this, I think. It'd be really nice under a jacket. Where I have been styling it a lot with like button-up shirts and button-up dresses. So yeah, so I really love this a lot. I will take my progress keeper out and block it. I'll tell you a little bit about the yarn. I have a subscription to the Sock Society box by Arkansas Yarn Company, and this was sent out in February. It was Valentine's Day themed, and the yarn was called, let's give them something to talk about. Oh, here it is. And yeah, so I have the Yummy Plush base, which is an 8515. This label's so cute. I really enjoy, well, I could purchase DK yarn. I really enjoy holding the yarn double. I've been pulling from the center and the outside, and it doesn't get tangled, and I really enjoy it. I purchased a special needle for this from Addie, and they're called the Unicorn Turbo. And this was my Sophie scarf needle, and I love it. I kind of want more of these. So they're metal needle. You can see they're not super sharp, and the way I knit, that's actually quite nice because I'm always like pushing the needle with my finger, and I am a very loose knitter, so it's really nice. And there's this pink cord, and so this was my Sophie scarf needle. My thought was, because I have this Sock Society box, that every time a new, like a monthly yarn comes in, I would just cast on a Sophie scarf for my work knitting. And that was a really good idea in theory until this month box came in. Which is beautiful. I love it. What's the color? Sorry for the crinkling. I'll tell you the color name. The color name is Friends Are the Rainbow After a Storm, and it's a light blue with like rainbow specks. So this would be fantastic as a Sophie scarf, and it's gorgeous. The challenge for me is that I've only knit 2 Sophie scarves, and they're both blue. So my first one is a dark blue alpaca, and then this one obviously is like a light blue with purple and pink. This would be my 3rd blue Sophie scarf. And just from like a utilitarian garment perspective, I just don't need a 3rd Sophie scarf. I'm not opposed to having 3 Sophie scarves because this would be different. It's just that for my 3rd one, I would rather knit a different color. So, side note, the Arkansas Yarn Company box, this one also came with some patterns, like a crochet and a knitting one. And so they're called Friendship Mitts, and they're kind of cute. So, here's a picture. So, I mean, I'm not opposed to doing that because it's like a little kit, and I really enjoy that. Yeah, but I really do want to cast on another Sophie scarf. So I was thinking, what do I have that I could do that with? And I'm kind of torn between 2. I feel like sometimes I have a hard time pivoting from yarn that I have planned for something. So I bought this double Sunday to knit a hat. I started casting it on, and I didn't like it, and I pulled it out, and I was going to try again, and I haven't. And I've had this yarn for almost a year now. It'll be a year in April. I purchased this at Apricot Yarn when I was visiting in San Diego in the spring, and I did an interview with the yarn store owner, side note, if you want to watch that on my channel. And I think this would be a good Sophie scarf. So, and I'll show you later too, I think it would go really good with a sweater I'm knitting, so I could wear it like in a different way, the Sophie scarf. I think I could pair this with a sweater. So I think that would be cool. I'm also liking this little situation. Also a year ago, I purchased this yarn from Purls and Postulates, and it has a math name. Yeah, Irrationally Imaginary. And it's almost Pi Day, so I thought, you know, how appropriate if I cast this out on Pi Day, which if you're not familiar, Pi Day is March 14th because pi is 3.14159. It goes on forever, which is why it's irrational. It's actually a transcendental number. Nonetheless, though, yeah, if you have an opinion, I just would love it. I want to knit this yarn badly. I think it would go with a sweater I'm making right now, so this would be very fun to cast on. Math theme yarn from Pearls and Postulates. Do you have an opinion? Let me know. So I do want to cast on though another Sophie scarf. That is sort of where we're at. Is that I think I'm always going to have a Sophie scarf with that pink needle. All right, seems like a good time to transition to works in progress. So I thought I would update you a little bit, which is I'm in a different location than I normally record. And that's because I've been doing major spring cleaning and I'm in my office. My husband and I share an office for our work. He's a mechanical engineer and I'm a math education professor. And so over there is like our computers. And to the right over here is like a closet that I have the IKEA calyx shelves in, and then I keep my yarn in plastic bags in there. And to be honest, I feel like this room just got like out of control and I didn't want to be in it. Like it just was messy. And I did some major spring cleaning and I cleaned the room and I organized my yarn and my whips. And I have a lot of whips and I actually counted them. Let me know if you'd be interested in a video where I like talk about my whips. I don't think I would go through all of them because there's too many, but like maybe I could like organize and share some of them. Anyway, they're all in one location now. I have these two little IKEA boxes that I use kind of as like a coffee table over here, and all my whips are in those boxes. And yeah, so I got organized with my whips and it felt really good. And as I'm talking about casting another Sophie scarf, nonetheless, even though I have all these whips, I'm only going to talk about the 3 things that I've worked on exclusively over the past couple weeks. Okay, so maybe I'll hop into my heritage cardigan, which I'm test knitting. Since I was talking about Sophie scarf, that might go with it. Okay. So this is my heritage cardigan designed by Samantha Guerin, and I'm test knitting it. It is a drop shoulder design. I need to do the neckband and the arms still, and I'm here at the bottom with the ribbing. It is a like really delightful, easy knit because there's interest. Like you go from stockinette to a stripe, back to stockinette. Like just when you like are getting bored, you switch colors. And just when you get bored with that, you switch colors and then you do a texture. But it's all very intuitive and easy. So it's got a nice little style, but very intuitive. It's 2 colors, how it's designed. And there's no weaving in ends if you do it with 2 colors because the designers as you carry up the yarn up the side. And so as you can see, I did not do mine in 2 colors. I did mine with lots of different colors. The look of this is just, I'm loving it. I actually wrote down all the colors on the day that I was getting organized. And so I thought I might show them to you because they're MadTosh. So this is Geyser Pool. This is Filtered Daydreams. This is Rye Bourbon. This is Rosidit. This one's Reading in Bed. This one's Kitten. This next one's my favorite color, which is the Pink Mist Smoke Tree. This one's Opaline. And this is Robin Redbreast. So those are all MadTosh DKs. And then the cream is West Yorkshire Spinners 100% British wool. So I am mixing non-superwash rustic yarn with superwash yarn. The ribbing has like a 4-inch ribbing. I've never done a ribbing quite so long. I don't think I've knit a sweater even as long as this ever. It's quite a long oversized sweater, and so I'm at about 3 inches of ribbing. I will try this on again. I've been trying it on as I go. The Progress Keeper here, which is an Arkansas yarn company, Progress Keeper, that was Valentine's Day themed, is where I was last episode. And so as you can see, I haven't made a ton of progress on it because I've been working on another test knit. But I would say with the designer's permission, I did make my armholes about 2 inches longer in depth. I just was trying it on and the armholes just were not big enough for me. And I would say I have I just realized I'm wearing the same shirt as I did last podcast. It's just, you know, I'm at home today and this is my comfy at home shirt, I guess. But I just don't like fabric up close to my armpit. And so, yeah, so this makes it a fit that I think I will enjoy. And so anyway, I just couldn't gush enough about this Heritage Harbor sweater. I really love it a lot. But the pro to the double Sunday yarn is how cute would this Sophie scarf be over the sweater? I mean, we are definitely entering spring and summer season here in Oregon, so it's highly unlikely I would by the time I finish this, wear the sweater with the Sophie scarf as well. But I remember last year, up until June, it was really cool out here, so maybe. Like this is a very cute little outfit. Like if I have a sweater with a Sophie scarf and it's on knits, I would be into that. I was very certain last episode that when I would record 2 weeks later that like this sweater would be done, and it's not really close to being done. Well, maybe it is close to being done. I have 2 sleeves left and a pocket. Okay, see if you can see this. So this is the Plump cardigan designed by Knitting Ruined My Life. And it is so good. Like, it's just, I put it on, like I've been trying this on as I go, and it's fitting me exactly how I'd want a cardigan that could go over t-shirts would fit. And I'm loving the yarn. I'm holding a Bouclé yarn with a Mohair. The sweater was designed in Spin Cycle's new yarn that just came out, which is called Plump. It's a bulky Spin Cycle yarn. But I wanted to use yarn that I had just purchased. I had purchased this yarn thinking I would knit a something cozy sweater. And I had the yarn at home, and then I applied for this test, and I was like, you know what? I wonder if I can gauge with this. And I did. And the very cool thing is I just think that this is the kind of cardigan that will go with like all of my t-shirts, because look at how many colors are in there. And it's fitting me really great. The thing that's like a little extra special about this cardigan is it has a very fun curved hemline. So it curves down in the front, like it's curving down. It kind of dips up and then it curves down. And that was achieved with short rows. And I think the last time I recorded, I maybe was like working on that hem, which is why I was so certain I would be done, because this is a very large, like knit at a large gauge. And so there's really no reason why I shouldn't be done. But I will say I did a tubular bind off on the bottom hem. Let me show that. And I think it's quite a nice finishing touch, a tubular bind off. You can see how it just kind of rolls over. And I did a tubular bind off with Bouclé and Mohair. If you've done a tubular bind off before, what you'll know is that you cut the length of your yarn about 3 to 4 times longer, like in the length. So let's say you're doing tubular bind off for this. Multiply this length by 3 or 4, and that's how much of the yarn you should use to do your tubular bind off. Well, picture doing that for an oversized cardigan and picture doing that with Mohair and Bouclé. It was a mess. It just, everything was getting knotted, and it just, I should have given up really, but I was just like, this is going to work out. This is going to look amazing. And I just sort of made myself persevere, but it took me 4 days. Like, and I know that might sound ridiculous, but I honestly was working on it for a couple hours a day. And so it took me hours. So I was like, okay, ready to go, dominate. Well, then in the pattern, there's the next part is to do sort of like this band, this neck band down here, which in my kind of experience knitting has always been a ribbing. Well, in this design, it is basically a folded over hem situation, which I've done folded over hems on dresses for Matilda, my 5-year-old, and the soufflés. 2 of the versions of the soufflés I've knit, the Petite soufflé and the original soufflé by Penrose Knits. Also, I have these. So I'm very familiar with a folded over hem, but that it's a little time consuming if you've ever done it. I did modify the pattern. In the instructions it said to sew this band, but I did it like with the needles where you kind of knit into the stitch instead, just because I learned from my tubular bind off that sewing with the Bouclé and the Mohair is maybe not a wise idea. Since the original designs in Spin Cycle Plump, I'm sure there's not any of those issues. It's just this knot's really easy. So then I was ready to cruise, but then for the armholes, you essentially do an applied I-cord edging, and then you knit the sleeves from there after you've done the applied I-cord edging. And one of the things I decided to do is do the applied I-cord edging actually on both sides of the sleeves first, because though the design is made with like a ratio, like I'll make one up. This is not the ratio of the pattern, but let's say it's pick up 3 stitches every 4 rows. Let's say that's what it was. It's not a perfect science when you're using a yarn like this. I think if you are using a yarn with a very strong stitch definition like Spin Cycle, like you can very much count the rows and it's very obvious. But sometimes with yarn where it's hard to see the stitch, things get lost in translation. So I was a little nervous that those 2 I-cord armholes wouldn't be the same exact size. And they didn't turn out that way. Actually, like when I finished the 2 I-cord armholes and I tried it on, one was smaller than the other, so I had to rip it out, which I suspected that would happen, which is why I did that. And so anyway, so I re-knit it to make sure my armholes were exactly the same size. And now I think I'm to the easy part where I'm doing the sleeve. But this is due on Saturday, so I have, 2 sleeves knit by Saturday and hopefully a pocket. It's like, I think it's possible. I really do, because now I truly am to the easy part of the knitting. But I very much am glad I did like the neckband and some of these fiddly bits like this already, because now I can just cruise. And I know I'm not talking about all my whips today, but I have like a lot of sweater whips, and some of it is just like one of my sweaters in my big old whip pile is like just to do a button band, and I think those things can like hold me up sometimes. And so like the fact that I have this already done, like I can just cruise. Yeah, I'm gonna wear this a lot, like when I get done with this, like, and I like it a lot. Oh, did I mention it's Chelsea yarns? I don't know if I mentioned it's Chelsea yarns in the colorway Chelsea's Coop. I think I was saying it was Bouclé mohair, but I didn't say like what. Okay. 2 test knit sweaters. Decisions were made. My third work in progress was I casted on another pair of socks, and you know, I really have no business casting on another pair of socks. However, I think it was March 1st. There was like a snow delay for my university starting. It was like it was not starting on time, and I had my yarn wound up and with me, and I didn't know there was a snow delay. Like I get to the building and it's completely dark, and I'm like, where are my students? Where are my colleagues? And I like check my email and like, oh, school's starting like 2 hours later than I am here. And I had my yarn with me, and it was serendipitous because also Zack, who has a YouTube channel here, another knitting podcast, Knack, Zack, I'll link him below. He has an annual sock knit along that's called like Socks and Stocks, or Stocks and I don't remember. Socks and Stocks, like your Birkenstocks and your socks. They're a perfect pairing. And his knit along started March 1st, and so I was like, obviously I need to cast on another pair of socks. And I had this amazing yarn from Merino, Vino, that Lily sent to me. So thank you, Lily. It's 75% merino, 25% nylon in the colorway Professor's Purls Pinks. So she dyed this from me, which is so sweet. And so, look at that. So this is the mini that I did the stripes in. And then I just love this yarn. It's like, I love the pinks. I'm a pink girl. I just love it. But like, there's these little flecks of like brown blacks, which looks so good. So I did the stripes so that basically you can do the stripes in a way so that you don't see when you're purling, so it's nice and smooth, or you essentially just like knit one round between. So I did that. And then I'm doing a fun subtle texture situation here. So it's nearly a vanilla plain sock, but just a very subtle texture. I actually really thought about ripping the sock out because I like the inside. Look at that. I like the inside of that really well. And so I was thinking about ripping it out so that I could knit the sock inside out. Because that looks so cool, the inside. But I also like this side too. So I ended up not ripping it out, but I thought about ripping it out. Yeah, so that's another sock I started. Oh, since I last recorded, I went to the Roasted Yarn Crawl, so I put that in my new unicorn bag. How cute. From Beautiful Sisters. So there's 2 unicorns on this side. A little leather handle. There's a little pocket inside. It's so cute. And my friend Anna from Zebra Yarns for my birthday gave me these beautiful pink stitch markers, which I hadn't got to use yet. So I'm using that with this yarn. And I love it. So last episode, I said that there would be a winner for another sock set, like one of these. And so I will announce the winner to that now. I did not do that in advance, so you'll have to look at the screen for the winner and your name will be here. So make sure you're looking at the screen to see who the winner is. And you can just email me or Instagram message me or Ravelry message me your address and I will get this out to you. Anyway, thank you, Lily, for donating a prize to the channel and also yarn to me. That's just so kind and it's so beautiful. And you can knit whatever you want out of this, whoever won it. Though you can knit matching socks with me if you want it. I'm going to share some dream knitting, and if you watched my Rose City Yarn Crawl vlog, I went to the Rose City Yarn Crawl, you might already know about this, which is I really want to knit this sweater, the Halu by Caitlin Hunter. I don't have any sweaters in my wardrobe, oh here, that have a neckline like this. It's like a V-neck, but not a super deep V, kind of a wider V with ribbing. Caitlin Hunter's designed a few patterns like this. There's this beautiful lace with like baubles, which I love, like the lace yoke, as you know, I've knit several love notes. But this one's has some baubles to it, some texture. It's quite oversized. And my friend Brenda's gonna knit it with me as well. So that's the dream knitting. But when I was at the Rose City Yarn Crawl, I bought a sweater's quantity of yarn. And look at this. Oh my gosh. Here it is. It's so good. And I feel like it'll be just such a neutral sweater, which will be so good in my wardrobe. Like neutral yet still look handmade, yet still be really interesting too. So this color is Marshmallow. It's by Suburban Stitcher. So it's a light pink with these pops. I know I've already showed this on my vlog, but I just needed to show it again because I just keep thinking about it and I love it. Now, when I organize my room, my office here, I discovered a lot of sweater whips, and so we know we have a problem a little bit here. I don't it doesn't stress me out. Actually, it's quite the opposite now, because now they're all organized. Now it's like, at first I felt a little stressed, I didn't know where things were, but like now I know where everything is and it's organized. And yeah, and so what I want to share about that is sometimes when you get so many whips, maybe you should just tear them out and do something else with the yarn. But when I was going through my sweaters, I was just like, I actually really want all these sweaters. I just need to like finish some of them. So I've decided to reward myself, since I love casting things on, with a cast on if I finish some things. So when I finish my 2 test knits, like my reward, like those 2 sweater test knits I've just shown, when I finish those, I will reward myself by, since I like obviously working on 2 sweaters, I'll reward myself by picking out a sweater whip that I have going on in there, in this situation, and casting on a new sweater. And so then when those 2 sweaters are done, I'll have 2 free bags, and I can grab another sweater that I've been working on and start a new one. And I feel good about that, and I'm really looking forward to that. I mean, I'm always thinking about like the next thing. I'm also still enjoying the sweaters that I'm working on too. Like I really do love my 2 sweater test knits, and I will enjoy them when they're done too. I realized that I took my chrysalis shawl off and my neck was feeling cold, so I put that back on. And yeah, so let's talk about the Professor's Purls segment. So this segment is one where I connect my professor life to my knitting life. There's a lot of overlap sometimes for me. And one of the things I was thinking about recently is about deadlines. There's all kinds of deadlines with school. Like there's project deadlines, quizzes, exams, and the semester ends. Like there is an end date to the semester. And so there's certain times in the semester, like currently it's midterm, that the deadlines become a little bit more stressful, like because there's more of them. And so I think one kind of way you could think about knitting is like maybe knitting is a space where you don't have deadlines. Like it's this one part of your life where you don't put a lot of pressure on yourself with self-imposed deadlines, or, you know, like, or you don't feel guilty if you don't meet the self-imposed deadline. But one thing I was thinking about is sort of the paradox for me, which is that I don't want to be stressed with my knitting. And also, I love deadlines. Like, it's like, this is not for everybody. I'm sure there's somebody like right now, like watching this is like, absolutely not. I don't love deadlines. I love and thrive with deadlines. Like, and deadlines don't stress me out. They're more like an adrenaline thing. And I'm like that in my work life. Like, there might be a grant due, and so then there's a deadline for that. There's a conference proposal due, there's a deadline from that. And those are hard and fast deadlines. And a manuscript revision due, you know, proofing papers, submitting your grades. Okay, if I'm being honest, I don't get an adrenaline rush about submitting grades. But like the other things, like I very much love a deadline, and I see that like translating into my knitting too. And there's a lot of reasons to love a test knit, and I do like them test knits for many, many reasons, but for sure I love a deadline. And I was looking at my long list of works in progress, and I was like thinking, okay, I could rip some of these out. I could start working on some of these. And in many cases, I very much like the project, but I've just stalled for something else. And I think for me, especially as somebody who loves the thrill of casting something on, the test knit gives me a deadline. It's like, I need to have this done by Saturday, and it's going to help me focus my energy in. And while this isn't done yet, and I could feel stressed about it, I really don't. I feel like hopeful. I don't know, and excited. So, but not everybody would be like that. And so that's the most important thing about knitting, is just to do what's best for you and do the thing that, you know, gives you joy. And so I really love test knitting, and I do love the deadline of it, but I do see the paradox in me saying that because I also want to live a stress-free life. That's not like this, you know, kind of utopic to say you're going to live a totally stress-free life, but anyway, so I've been thinking, I just thought I would share that in the Professor's Purls because I've been thinking about deadlines a lot, and I just think it's because it's midterm and I have 2 test knits, and I might have signed up for a 3rd one. Okay, do you see that tea steaming? It's so good. So my favorite Christmas tea was, and I say was because it's gone and it's out of stock now on David's Tea, was Candy Cane Crush. And I'm like already hoping that they bring it back next Christmas. And I was talking about that on one of my episodes, and my friend Summer, who also has a YouTube channel, Summer Knits, reached out to me and said she wanted to send me some tea. And so this tea is reindeer fuel, and so that's still Christmas tea, and it's March. I love Christmas teas. It's a black mate tea. The ingredients on it were peppermint, can taste that, ginger, chocolate, black tea. Might be forgetting something. But she sent me a package of a lot of teas, and a tea even for Matilda that's caffeine free and changes color. So that's so sweet. Do you like to drink Christmas teas all year long? I mean, I don't drink them all year long because I run out. Oh, I forgot to mention this reindeer fuel is from Adagio Tea, I think she said. yeah, so that's my sip knit, which is sharing that my knitting friend gave me tea. I have to drink this though right away. So I might need to like pause this and I'll just sit in it and sip this, because once it stops steaming and cools off, I have to drink it because I can't reheat it. This mug, you see how it's kind of like translucent a bit. You can't heat it up in the microwave or anything like this, like, so it's drink it. I wasn't really picking the best mug, I guess, because of two reasons. One, I can't heat it up while recording an episode. And the second is the wording on it says, "Hocus pocus, I need coffee to focus." And it's not coffee, it's tea. And yeah, I purchased this around Halloween time because hocus pocus, but I've been using it kind of all year. It's just a nice size and I like the pink. I purchased it from a local maker to me who makes these mugs. I have mixed feelings about it. It's so cute, so love it. What my mixed feelings are is they use their Cricut machine, and so this is, you know, I feel like it feels like it could peel off. These are like stickers essentially, and so I'm always like washing it so delicately by hand and hoping the stickers don't peel off. I can say I've used it at least once a week since October, and nothing has peeled off, so maybe it won't. But it's just interesting that it has like a sticker texture there. I would love to chat with you in the comments below. And if you liked any of the knitting content, please consider liking or subscribing. However, from this point forward, there's really not knitting content. This is just the personal life if you want to hear about my personal life. So, since I last recorded, I finished 3 books. I really only liked one of the 3 books. And life's a little too short to read things you don't like. And so I definitely have the attitude that if you don't like a book, you should stop reading it. But I would say the 2 books I finished reading that I didn't fully like I was hooked enough that I wanted to know how it ended. Like I needed closure to the story, but I didn't love it. So first book I read was The Bookwoman of Troublesome Creek. And this is one of the ones that I just kind of like about. I learned a lot actually from reading the book. I thought it's a historical fiction book, and the main character, who is a bookwoman in the 1930s and 40s in, I think, like Kentucky, turns blue, like her skin turns blue. And I thought at first this was like really strange and just fiction, but it's actually historical fiction, and it's a genetic condition which I can't pronounce, but I thought, wow, okay. And I ended up doing some Google searches about it, and it's actually like a true thing that happened. So I feel like I learned about a small piece of American history that I didn't know about. And so that is a pro to the book. I think this book got a lot of really good reviews on Goodreads, and it looked like there's a second book, which I won't be reading. Yeah, and so it has a lot of good reviews. I think I won't go into all the reasons why I didn't care for it. But one reason I will say is that it seemed very melodramatic at times. Like it was overly dramatized, I felt. And I could be, if you've read it, you could totally disagree with me, but okay. The second book, which I would think I wouldn't give a 5 out of 5 star review for because it's a rom-com, I did give a 5 out of 5 on Goodreads for, and that is Book Lovers. I really just liked that book a lot. I liked the main characters of the book. I liked the setting, which was in a bookstore with the two main characters had book-related jobs. I liked the ending. I really liked it a lot, and sometimes I feel like bad that I'm reading like romance easy reads. It's like I should be reading something more intellectual, but like that's not true what I'm saying. I just sometimes feel that way. And I think with my job currently, like there was some stressful things happening, and this book like was with me during those times, and I would read it in the evening and it helped de-stress me, and like that's amazing. And it's just very light, like it's a rom-com, like, and it's just, so anyway, I would really recommend that book. The next book I read was Rock, Paper, Scissors, and I don't usually read thriller mysteries, but since I had just read a historical fiction and then read a rom-com, I was like, I'm gonna try and throw in a thriller in there just so I can mix up my genres. And I would just a little bit of the ways in, I didn't really like it and I thought about stopping. But then something happened that was a little scary. And then I wanted to know what happened. And so I just truly read the whole book just so I could know what happened. And maybe that's the essence of thrillers. But it was okay. It like had a surprising ending, so that was cool. Yeah. If you like to read thrillers, I think, here's what I don't know. I don't know if I'm not into thrillers or I'm just picking the wrong thriller books. There's some thriller books I've enjoyed, like a handful of them. I don't know. If you have some thrillers to recommend, I would very much appreciate that, because I feel like my people, my friends, they seem to really like thrillers. And then I read Rock, Paper, Scissors and I'm like, so I don't know. I don't like thrillers. What's been going on since I last recorded? I think, as I've mentioned a couple times, it's midterm of the semester, so we're on the downward slope towards summer break, and feels wild to say that because it's snowed here. And it, like where I live in Oregon is called the Willamette Valley, and we really don't get a lot of snow. Now, Oregonians that live here would say maybe otherwise, but I'm from the Midwest, and I'm telling you, we just don't get snow out here, like at all. And I mean, yeah, there's snow in the mountains, but where I live, like we just don't get snow. I can't say that this winter. We got epic snow. We got, since I last recorded, we got amazing snow that stuck. Kyle, my husband, and my daughter Matilda, who's 5, like she had a snow day. We went outside, wore our snow pants. We did snow angels. We walked around the park and played in the snow. We drove out to Chehalem Ridge to do a little hike out there. It was so good. The unfortunate thing about the snow was that it happened at the Rose City Yarn Crawl, and so it hindered some people's plans, I'm sure. My friend Brenda was supposed to come out and she wasn't able to, and I think one of the days I wanted to go to Naughty Lamb and see Diane from Suburban Stitcher, and she did make it out there, just not the day that she wasn't supposed to because of the snow, and so I didn't get to see her. And it was great. And anyway, I have a little vlog about that if you want to see it. And I don't know, hopefully I've shown some pictures of Matilda and the snow by now, because it was really fun. We've been spending some time at home. As I mentioned, I've been doing some spring cleaning, and I've been really motivated to do it. I've gotten like 3 closets organized, which is incredible. And I worked on this office, and so it's I'm enjoying more of the spaces in my house, which is great. And yeah, and so we've been cooking at home. We have a uni pizza oven. It's a wood fire pizza oven. And so just in the past week, we've made pizza at home twice, which is like one of my favorite foods. And so that's really fun. And we made a really fun pizza, dessert pizza. It's called like a s'mores pizza. And yeah, anyway, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate you being here and, you know, being my knitting friend. I really appreciate it. So anyway, I'll see you in a couple weeks. Bye.